Why is it so important to be on your own?
You need to like be put in a situation where you have to make new friends or like you have to learn how to pay your own bills.
There's nothing more valuable than going somewhere new and just learning.
Hey there, you're tuned into The Mike and Maddie Show, where we have casual conversations, breaking down science and documenting our creative journey on YouTube and with entrepreneurship so we can all learn how to improve our lives. In this episode, I have some very special guests with us. We have Taylor Shin and Kimberly Tran. They are prolific TikTok creators. In this episode, we talk about content creation, relationships, and navigating life in our early 20s. So calm your mood, clear your mind, and enjoy the show. Well, welcome to the Mike and Maddie Show. Today we have some very cool guests, some beautiful ladies with us.
Oh my god. Stop.
Chimichuchi.
Oh my god, no.
What's your handle? I don't know actually.
T-Shin.
T-Shin.
With
Just
three
T-Shin,
E's.
you know.
with 3 E's?
Chimichuchi's better.
No, it's
Chimichuchi's
not.
better.
There's no
Is it
E's.
3 E's or 2 E's? No, not E's.
Ends.
I was gonna
Three
say
N's.
like what? There's no E's in Taylor
Like
or Shin.
T-Shin.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just give the fans a little bit of what they asked for? Can you guys give a little quick intro?
Hey guys, I'm Taylor. I live in Arizona, so I'm just visiting for the weekend. I am 25.
Great.
That's about it.
That's it. I know. I'm like, what?
You're 25 already.
25.
Well, I know you're
Unfortunately.
turning 25
Yes.
soon,
Yes.
but you're already 20.
yes.
Okay.
I'm
She's
here
older
for
than me.
Kimmy's birthday, which is
Yeah.
in 2 days.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm just happy to
You
be
come to
here.
California quite often, though, no?
But last time I came here was in May,
Mm.
so it's been almost a year.
Was it really?
SoCal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Oh.
to like visit me here.
Wow, I guess time flies. I didn't really realize that it's almost May again.
No, that is not true. You came for Ray Brown in October.
Oh,
That sounds like it doesn't
Oh.
feel that far away.
Wait a second.
You did come.
Oh,
But it was
yeah.
like 24 hours.
Wait, yeah, it was like in the middle of the week, Wednesday.
oh, that was when you came and
She met Mike then. Because I was just like,
Did-
oh,
That's
you
right.
should meet Mike. But then I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
she already met Mike. So
y'all saw the
whatever.
studio before.
That's right. It
The
was
remodel.
before Second Sky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, I'm a liar.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but you still come to. That's what I'm saying. You come to California quite often.
I do. I love it here.
Mm-hmm.
It's my little getaway.
What is your relation to California besides having friends here? Do you have family here?
No, they all live in Wisconsin. So
But you don't even live in Wisconsin.
I used to.
Where
I'm
were you
from
born?
there.
What?
I was born in Connecticut.
Oh,
But my dad was in the Navy, so just moved around a
Gotcha.
lot,
Are there a lot
yeah.
of Korean people over there?
surprisingly,
In
yeah.
Connecticut?
Oh
No,
no,
Wisconsin.
And Wisconsin?
In Wisconsin,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
So that's where my grandparents immigrated to, and they've been there ever since. So
Really, Wisconsin?
I don't know why.
That is so random.
it
I
is
feel
pretty
like.
random.
It is
When
really
I think of
random.
like Asians in America, you think of like the coasts and then
Yeah.
and then Texas. You know,
yeah.
this is
So,
it. But
I don't know what
interesting.
they were thinking, yeah.
Cool.
They weren't.
But I've been in Arizona since like
Birth.
5th grade.
Mm.
Basically.
So yeah.
Well, cool. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Wait,
Yeah.
you should tell us a little bit about. So Taylor's a little famous.
Nah, they don't need to know that.
What?
They need to know.
Yo, this
Look
is
at-
not my show. This is the Mike and Maddie
You
show.
may or may not have recognized her. Because I feel like you get recognized a lot. So let's talk about that.
I do know that you do create content online.
All of us. A little
Not
bit.
all of us.
I guess all of us do to some
Like
extent
splurge
now.
in it.
Splurge, we dabble in it a little bit.
Dabble in it.
But if I could ask, why did you start making it? Or when did you first start making content?
Ooh. I feel like Snapchat in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would post like skincare videos and like just goofy stuff on Snapchat for just like friends to see. So I've always loved doing it.
She's like the queen of like private story. I don't know if you did you have Snapchat?
No.
Okay, they don't know. But it's
Then-
kind of like similar to like Instagram. You know how they have close friend stories?
I'm aware of like what Snapchat is though, just because I was like, I didn't grow up under a rock.
But he knows.
I feel like there's like two types of people. People who love to create content for like everybody to see.
Yeah.
Or people who are like really private. Yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of like both, but I do prefer like just to posting it for like just like a small group of people.
Most of your
to
stuff
see.
is pretty public though, yeah?
Just like my Instagram is private.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can't go public. It's just like I feel too exposed.
But also your like actual career, I feel like limits you.
Yeah.
You
If
know?
I wasn't working in medicine, I'd probably be public.
Interesting.
That's what I feel like we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like I don't think I could go public.
Do
Yeah.
you guys feel like that?
Well, he is obviously different now. Like that's his.
That's
I'm
true.
pretty
That's your
public.
niche.
His career has to be
medicine
public.
niche.
No, not really. I think I started off making content about being a student in medicine and just like helping people navigate studying and how to succeed in the academic system. But it was never really like, oh, here's 5 tips on better blood pressure or like,
Yeah.
you know, it was never specifically like medical related. But what you're saying is very true. And you have to taper your personality a little bit, or you, but back then I had to do much more. Like I would censor myself from talking about specific things just because I was like a doctor, you know?
Yeah.
Like I would never swear on a camera, you know, and I was always like somewhat professional. But then now I'm just like now I care less. Now I care less
Venturing.
about it. It's not so much like venturing, it's just like individuality. Medicine is like one of those really interesting fields where it's still so far behind in terms of like being progressive.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Like you can't really say or do things in medicine without people being like, "Oh, that's bad. You can't do that."
Yeah.
But like that's the whole point about life, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, who
I don't know why
cares?
though, but I think it's because a large part of it is like the doctors.
Mm-hmm.
They're so old. A lot of doctors are still, you know,
And patience.
still old. Yeah, exactly. It's
Super.
like super
Right.
old school.
More patients are old than young.
Exactly. So I think it's moving to be more progressive, but right now we're like still in
Compared
the
to
transition.
other fields like business
Yeah.
and everything, I feel
Right.
like they're all on social media and they use it for their forte, whereas medicine, not so
Well, there
much.
are a lot of doctor influencer / creator types out there now,
That's
or
true.
medicine related. I wouldn't say just
But
doctor.
I feel like they are just like in their niche of medicine.
Just
Like,
medicine.
they can't
Oh,
really
it's so
reveal, like,
boring.
Other like personal.
But I know I remember.
not throwing
It
shade,
is.
but kind of.
But
It's
also
kind
like
of
there's
boring.
that. Remember when you were? I remember you.
Like all I see is just figs everywhere. It's like, can you guys make
True.
content about
Oh,
any? Is there any other content you can make besides figs?
Yeah.
No
But
hate
even
on figs.
that, you know, like I know your friend like John. He just started his whole. So he's a doctor. He's
He's
an
a doctor.
ophthalmologist, and he just started doing like videos too.
Right.
But I feel like even like his content is like very like medicine.
Well, he's making
Related.
content about what he knows.
Right.
And I think that's really all we can make content about.
Exactly.
Is stuff that you know about.
Mm.
But your content's not about medicine.
No.
I don't really know what
It's
your
like a
content. I haven't
mix,
consumed too much.
But I do not want to be like I
Yeah.
want it just to be like life
Yeah.
in general.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I think your Instagram is different than like your TikTok, right? Like your
Yeah.
TikTok is not medicine related at all.
really,
Or not like you don't like go on there and you're not like, oh, like this is what I saw today, this and this, or like this. Like I feel like yours is just like, oh, like
just
I'm
like
a
a
PA,
visual.
yeah, like a visual, like oh, a
Yeah.
day in my life, and then like you're just showing like what you, but you're not like focused on it. Like I don't think people follow you to be like, oh, like what are some, you know what I mean? Or they'll like
Yeah.
DM you privately, or like, but that's not your platform.
Yes,
Your platform isn't like how to become
and
a
I
PA.
don't want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But like if people are seeking out help, I do like to help in that field.
Sure.
But not more like posting for everybody. But I love when people like DM me for like one-on-one help.
yeah.
Mm.
But
Do you get that often?
surprisingly, yeah. Yeah. Which I'm really like grateful that I can help somebody because when I was like applying to PA school and stuff, I didn't have anybody who was already in it to like go to for help.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels cool to like be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know.
I definitely get that.
You probably
too.
help a lot of people.
Well, the content I make is specifically for helping those areas, like how to study better, how to be more productive, things like that. But yeah, I get a lot of DMs about specific questions. And at a certain point, you just can't answer everybody. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
I used to love answering and like responding to comments and stuff. But when you get too many and like you answering the same question over and over and over.
A lot of it is like they can Google the answer, but
Right.
they'll just comment. Just like as like fast.
Yeah.
Or send a DM. But, you know,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point that you bring up about, I think as a content creator, especially this year or in the last year or so, there's been a big shift from people advocating for making content in like a niche. And now I think it's shifting more towards you yourself being the niche, you know, like a personal brand is you are your own niche, you know, like the things that you like, which is for you like PA and then lifestyle and then fashion or whatever else all that combination is.
Yeah.
That's really your niche. It's not really just like only study stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that like people can make content so easily now, like on TikTok or Instagram and YouTube, like it's personal brands are becoming way more important. Like before, people used to like go on the internet to find like how to do something, but now they just follow people. You know, they follow people that they like. They follow people that they connect with because they find some relational aspect to it. So it's like less important about just like, oh, I only talk about medicine. It's like, no, I talk about what I like to talk about. You know, so it's a really cool shift, I think, in creating content where you don't have to focus on like, oh, I can't talk about this because it's not me, but everything is you. You know.
Yeah, I think it's a really good thing.
It's your birthday soon.
The shift?
It's your birthday soon.
So random.
Cut the camera.
Cut the camera.
No, I just think it's close to your birthday. You're almost turning. How old are you? Can we expose you?
24. Wait. Here's the thing. When I say I'm 25 or I'm turning 25, I don't feel that old because I know you. And I know your age. And I'm like, actually, in comparison, I'm not that old.
And she's like the youngest of all of us.
And yeah, like I feel like I'm the baby of
always
like
been
my
the
friend
baby.
group. So I don't feel like I'm just catching up. So I don't feel old.
That's true.
But then I do feel old when I think like relatively to like life.
It's weird because I feel like turning 20, like the first half of the 20s decade, so 21 going to 25, there's some significance to each number.
Yeah.
But after 25, because this year I'll be turning 26, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I know.
No one likes you when you're 26.
Yeah, no one's like
No,
like
I think
that
no, I
number.
think that's 29, dude.
No.
29 is the worst one.
Really?
I
No,
feel
but
like-
like 26, 27, 28,
No.
there's nothing.
Well, that's Cody
like-
Ko's whole thing. Is like no one likes you when you're 26.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's like his.
He had a video.
I thought it was
he had a video
23.
about that.
No, it was 26.
Oh, because
I
there's
disagree with that huge though.
really.
But I don't know.
I think 29 has some significance because it's your like last year in your 20s. But like 26, 27, 28, it's like you're just lingering.
It's like, oh.
You're lingering.
Oh,
You're
I was gonna say they're prime numbers. They're not.
They're not.
Oh,
They're
they're
not prime numbers.
Oh,
I don't know
no.
why. No, but like,
Well,
21,
no.
like
No,
obviously
they're not.
you're
Yeah.
legal. 22, Taylor Swift. 23, Michael Jordan birthday. 24, Kobe birthday.
True.
25, quarter of a century, and then there's like nothing. There's no
Yeah.
meaning.
You have to. Well, I think.
There's no meaning.
I think for.
True.
I think the realization that I had when I turned 26 was that you have to find your own meaning.
Oh, period.
That's really deep.
Is that too deep? Is it getting too far?
26.
Okay, I can only speak from personal experience, and maybe you can let me know if you felt the same way. But when I turned 25, I actually did go through what most people would call a quarter-life crisis. You know, I was already in medical school at the time, but I was in medical school and I was feeling like this is not right. Like my life doesn't. Like I'm on the path that I've been struggling to get to for like the last 10 years, but something doesn't feel right. And I don't know why, you know? And it was during 26 and 27 where I actually figured out what that was what was missing and like what like actually life was all about. So I don't know if you've had experience about any kind of quarter life crisis.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well,
but it's very real.
You're living it right now.
And I think a lot of people
How do you feel?
probably go through it. You're going through it right now?
I feel like because I've been a student my whole life, up until basically 24, 25, that I'm experiencing a crisis now that I'm adulting.
What is that like?
Yeah. It's just like now there's, there was always like a milestone to accomplish, and now you reached like the end, I guess career-wise, you reached what you've been trying to reach for so long, and now it's like, well, that's it.
You just adulted.
Now what?
Exactly. So it's
Yeah,
like you
crazy, yeah.
followed the road for as far as it can go, and then you realize that it doesn't actually lead anywhere special.
Yeah.
And
Or like, I don't know, I think you look so forward to it, and once you finally have it, it's like, wow, okay, now what?
exactly. So that's kind of what I meant by like you have to start finding your own meaning, because school's not everything, work is not everything.
Exactly.
Adulting is not also like it's not a destination. You just realize that life just is just going to keep happening, and every single year it's just going to keep coming. And if you don't find something to continue working towards that doesn't have an end goal, then you're just going to feel sad. And then you're not going to know what to do. That's the realization that I had. I don't know if you're going through that.
I think, well, I don't want it to sound like I'm not grateful or anything. It was just an adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just an adjustment. So, you know, the crisis is, it's getting better.
It's a self-crisis. You know what I mean? It's something that you're going through.
Right. Like, I'm
But,
just being dramatic.
It's also a universal experience. Like, everyone else in our age range is also going through the same exact thing.
Of course.
You know, it's like you finish school, you get a job, or you're still in school, whatever the case is. It's like you feel like it's a never-ending like cycle of just working or like working towards something, and then like you know what I mean? Like what are you gonna work towards after you've reached your goal? So I don't know. I feel like I ain't even there yet.
I feel like everyone's going through it right now.
Yeah. I think so too.
I don't know, something about like
think
post-COVID.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Well,
Like-
I think you're right. COVID definitely made people self-reflect more than they ever used to do because they had no other option. Like everyone decided to go home, and then they were like, okay, now what? You know?
But I feel like now that life is normal now, people still are kind of in their shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Like,
it
I don't
made
know how to-
people be more like
Introspective,
yeah, but also just like
meditate.
Hermit.
hermit. Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, people talk about like their eras, but I feel like right now a lot of people are just going through their like
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
It's weird.
I think right when COVID, like right when things started opening up, people started going through like their villain era, or like they're like,
Their
oh,
demon
I'm getting
time?
back.
Is that what you
Yeah,
call it?
like they're on their demon time. Like, oh, we're gonna get back out there. But then they realize, like, actually, that
They're
was
like-
too much. That was a little too much.
Let's revert.
So now I feel like a lot of people are just like reverting back, and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna be like calm, and like I'm just gonna like not go out as much, or I'm
You're
not
talking
gonna do
specifically
something.
about going out? Or
Not
how do
just
you
going
mean?
out, but just like not maybe being as like
Just like
crazy.
maybe being more private too.
yeah, being private.
Yeah.
Private with like social
Their
media,
life.
you mean, or just
In general.
Maybe not
like,
necessarily social media,
Yeah,
but like
but
not
even like who you hang out with and stuff.
friendships.
I felt like the circles have gotten smaller.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing.
you don't think it's a bad thing?
Mm-mm.
What's
I
good?
think-
What's good about it? You think?
I think you kind of tend to gravitate towards people who are more similar to you, value-wise, interest-wise, and then you grow those connections even deeper.
Do you think that's a result of COVID or just your age?
Oh,
I think it's both. Well, I think it's hard for us to say because COVID hit right when we right when we graduated college. So we graduated in 2019, and then like we had basically just like a couple months. And you
That's
started PA
true.
school.
yeah, but
So,
if you
like-
think about people in their 30s, 40s, 50s,
Yeah.
it could be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think
it's
for us, it's because we just like went into lockdown. And I think like learning that like, at least I know for me, it's like I was always a yes person, right? So I
Yeah.
always wanted to include everyone like from college. Like if we were gonna hang out, you know, it always became like a big thing. But then like now that it's like post COVID, maybe COVID might have helped, but like now, and maybe just like growing older might have helped. But now I'm just like, I don't really care about all those other people. No offense,
Yeah.
but like I know who my friends are, and I know like
Right.
who I would want to spend time with. You know.
yeah.
And
I
that's what
do
I was-
think it attributes to mostly growing up.
Yeah, I was gonna say if anything, because I went through that same thing,
Yeah.
and it wasn't during COVID.
Okay, so then yeah,
I
feel
just
like-
had a realization that
it probably is.
I don't
just-
like these people.
well, it's not so much that I don't like the. Okay, here's what I went through. I realized that when you're in school, whether it's university, high school, PA school, anything, the people that you are friends with are the people who are close to you in proximity, not necessarily in values. You know, it's like when I went to college, I was like, well, I'm going to go to class Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And this person is going to sit here regardless of whether I want them to or not. So like, I guess I'll become their friend. You know, you're just friends with people because you're in the same proximity as each other. But then once you graduate, like, I don't know if you can, here's another example for me is I had roommates in college. You know, 1 year I lived with like 3 guys. It was really fun. We hung out all the time because we lived together. But after that year, we barely spoke to each other because we just didn't live around each other
Same.
anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, now if I think about it, it's not like I didn't like them as people, but if you really think about like who we are, we have very different values. We like very different things. And if we didn't live together, we probably wouldn't have gotten along that well.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
So I think you just go through that realization over and over that like, okay, well now that they're not like around, am I going to actually hit them up?
Yeah.
Like, do we even want to go hang out with them?
Yeah.
If it's not like so convenient that we can just like go grab lunch because we live together.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
proximity is like such an important thing. And with the whole COVID thing, when people were locked down and they were no longer in proximity with all these people, I think everyone just had that realization a lot sooner.
Yeah.
That are like, oh, I don't really care about seeing this person because it's not convenient anymore. So
I
you
feel
really just make time for the people who you want to see, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Or
feel
who you
like-
choose to still keep in contact with
Yeah.
in the time that you couldn't see each other.
Especially like with your college, like going to ASU
Yeah.
and like everyone from hometown and everyone would just hang
Yeah.
because that was just
Yeah.
the thing to do. Like we
Yeah.
go to
Right.
this spot, we always hang
Yeah,
out, but it was
exactly.
just because everyone was in that proximity.
Yeah. Like we're all in the same space.
Yeah.
But I also feel like me moving to California too was like a big awakening.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
actually.
That's how I felt moving to Nashville.
Right, yeah, same
After
thing.
college. And like I only moved there. It wasn't even my choice. Like I didn't want to move there, but it was one of the only schools I got into. But it ended up being like the best thing
Yeah.
I could do for myself.
Yeah.
To just
Yeah.
separate.
Yeah, to like be away from everything that you know
Mm-hmm.
and go to a city that like you don't know anybody in. It's pretty crazy.
Well, first of all, I think that's
Mm.
me personally, I think that is important for just like personal growth.
Self-development. Yeah.
Self-development, like being away. Yeah, like I feel like we talk about this a lot. Like I think that
What is
I
that?
know not a lot of people think that, oh, you should just like leave and go somewhere and like be on your own. Like some people are like, oh, you don't need to do
Yeah.
that. But like
I
I
think
think,
you
that
definitely
you
should.
should. I think you should.
I think you should.
You
Like-
learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah, it's
Well, yeah.
dramatic, but like I think you need to be alone. I think you need to like be put in a situation where you have to make new friends or like you have to learn how to pay your own bills or like get around
Yeah.
and like shit
Well,
like that.
Why is that so? Why is it so important to be on your own, to be independent?
I think you just get to experience and learn things that you would have never done if you had been stuck where you are, like at home. Like, I don't know, just learning how to do simple things.
Yeah. Just like leaving your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're
Being
around people,
uncomfortable.
being
Yeah.
uncomfortable, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think that's the big thing.
What's a good example of a situation where you forced yourself to be uncomfortable?
I think moving to a new city where you don't know anybody and you have to really like, it's hard to meet people and it's hard to start your own community. So you kind of have to be the initiator for that.
Yeah.
And that's like a lot of energy
Sure.
versus like when you're at your hometown, these people you've known since like childhood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really have to make any effort because there's just that history that's already there.
Yeah.
So
What's your Myers-Briggs? Do you think you have like the personality of someone who is the initiator?
oh, guess mine. Or I don't know if you know it that well.
INTJ?
That's like off a lot.
Really? Okay. I don't know. I was wrong then.
Wait, what are you?
Can we say
ENFJ.
ES? Yeah.
I'm ESFJ.
Oh, I'm ESFJ.
Oh, then I'm ENFJ
Yes. Yeah.
or my ESFP.
But I'm E, like kind of 50-50. Like my E is like 52.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put me in a social situation,
Yeah.
people think I'm extroverted because I can really like initiate conversation, keep it going,
True.
but I burn out. Whereas she can go way longer.
Right. I think my perception was skewed because I've talked to her about. Well, we talked obviously about you because you're a very close friend of hers.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, Taylor seems extroverted, but she's probably not. That's why I guess the I.
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I talk about it all the time. I'm like, Taylor's extroverted in social situations, but she's also very like,
Like you can leave me alone for weeks.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't need to see people
Right.
necessarily to like be energized or like
Yeah.
be
Interesting.
happy or satisfied, I guess.
Like if anything, if I just have like a one-on-one hangout with a good friend, like that's just
It's
like
fine.
I feel so rejuvenated.
Right.
Versus I guess like a
Being in a group.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like a second sky situation.
Yeah.
Too many.
Censored.
Too many. Well, anyways, I guess my question was, how did you take that initiative step then? Because I think a lot of people, regardless of whether they're extrovert, introvert, I think those are just like good metrics to think about your personality. But when you're put in the situation of whether or not you want to take the step forward, to step out of your comfort zone, it doesn't really matter if you're extrovert or introvert.
That's true. Like the whole thing is just showing up and being there.
Yeah.
Like you can be an introvert, it doesn't even matter,
Yeah,
but
right.
making the effort of actually like showing up to events. So like for example, like school events, if you want to make friends with classmates, or like even getting plugged into like a church or something, or like a gym or anything like a hobby, actually just like showing up
showing
and
up.
like more than
Leaving your
once.
house.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So becoming like a familiar face, then
Yeah.
I think
That is true.
Consistent showing up.
yeah.
That's good.
Because then,
Smart.
you know, you'll see other people that you'll start to recognize. And then I guess naturally, you'll just meet each other.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, you don't necessarily need to be like a super social person.
Yeah, you don't have to
It's like,
be like, hey,
yeah. That's what
I'm new
mean.
here.
That's what I'm saying. It's like being comfortable with being, like, you have to just
So
be
you're
able
saying,
to
like,
make that, the initiative.
Just be a lurker.
Not a lurker, just like,
lurker.
Just lurk around in the background, you know? You show up, you know?
yeah.
you could be.
Yeah, I think it does take energy, though. It takes energy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, to go to these places and meet
Right.
people.
Especially if you're uncomfy. Like, with,
Yeah.
like being, or like being in a space where you don't know people.
Yeah.
I think that is like enough.
But I feel like, let's say you're going to a situation, you don't know anybody. If you just meet one person, it makes all the difference.
yeah.
Like, if you just have that one person, like that one familiar face, it makes wanting to go to something like way easier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just having a connection somehow. Do you think that's a good strategy for someone who might have a lot of social anxiety
I think
when they go out? Like,
Oh,
I think a lot of
yeah.
times when you go out, if you have social anxiety, you're like, oh, everyone's gonna think I'm weird. Like,
Right, you're
it's
like
gonna
way in
be,
your
like,
head.
uncomfortable. It's not gonna be fun. But so what it sounds like you're saying is, if you don't have that initial connection, like instead of just going and trying to have a good time, maybe the goal should just be to meet one person. Is
Yeah.
that like a pretty safe and solid way to do it?
I feel like that's a good way.
How would you go
that's a good
about
goal.
how would you go about doing that?
I guess every situation's different. Like, depending on what the event is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let's say you wanted to get into like rock climbing, and then you just start climbing next to somebody, and then I don't.
You're like,
Yeah, and then you start climbing on
grab
top
the
of them.
same hold as them. Y'all reach for the same hold.
and you're just like, hey.
But
Have you been rock climbing before?
No.
Yeah, I was like,
Random.
But
Funny
like a shared
example.
activity,
Yeah.
like not much has to be said, but you can like vibe on each other's like
yeah.
doing it, like the activity. Yeah.
Or like,
versus
yeah.
like going to church and trying to like meet somebody at church, which is actually like really hard, especially if it's a big church, because it feels like everyone there already knows each other. But the nice thing is that usually churches will like be welcoming to you, so they'll have someone come up to you. So
yeah.
yeah.
Oh. That's cool. So there's like rules in place where they have to be open.
Yeah, like I feel like they have people who will like volunteer to be like the welcoming committee.
Welcome crew.
So that's their like role, is
That's
to
smart.
see new faces. And
Yeah, that's so important actually. This is just if I'm like using that example because I have a Discord community and it's growing fairly large. We're at like 15,000 people now in there, but we actually have a moderator whose sole responsibility is to be that introduction person. Like whenever someone new comes to the channel, send them a DM or like get them to introduce themselves to the community. And usually that first step will be a trigger for that person to like actually want to engage and be in the community because
Yeah.
someone reached out to them and someone was like friendly
Yeah.
enough to like to get them to feel welcome. And
It
then
means a lot.
Yeah,
That
it's-
is important when it comes to like group situations.
yeah.
Yeah. Like you're not just like free balling it,
yeah.
you know?
And then the nice thing is like, let's say you meet somebody who's already established in the community, then they introduce you to like their branch.
Yeah, the whole network ripple
Right.
effect happens.
So
Yeah.
like, I feel like it just takes one person.
Here's a question that could be interesting from a female perspective. What are some personal cues or behaviors that when you meet someone new, you're like, oh, I'm getting a good vibe from this person?
Like,
Doesn't have
from a
to
female,
be
like,
doesn't
to a
have to be
male?
romantic. Doesn't have to be romantic. Just like if you're going to a situation like a school event or you're out at church event and you have an interaction with someone, you know, like usually you'll have like this feeling that you're gonna like this person or not. What are those signals? What do you think?
When you say from a female perspective, because I feel like this could go, you know, male or female. Do you mean like when it's like a male meeting a female?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's different when it's like a male to female or a female to female.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Or,
Well, just in general then,
yeah.
I guess. Because I've asked this question to like my guy friends and they say something. I'm just curious to see like what a girl would say. We can start with the male to female if you want.
Whether or not like
Wait. When you say like you're getting a good vibe from them, do you mean like you could see you guys getting along and being friends, or it's like you just think they're a good person?
Both, I guess. Either or.
yeah, because I think one is more personalized
Yeah.
to like you. Like I don't think I could be friends with everyone that's like nice to me or like we have like a good connection. Like we have a pleasant
Okay.
encounter.
But I feel like there are people though where you just meet them within the first few minutes, you already know if you could see yourself actually like getting to know them better.
Yeah.
And like
that
clicking.
it could be a friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are those signals? That's what I'm curious about. Because it is a lot harder to make friends when you get older. So if you have that like
true.
initial like perception of this is what makes my cogs turn in terms of friendship, you know? If you can look out for those signs, what do you think they are?
I think
I feel like it's so general.
it
but
is.
but
don't know what
each person has different
Yeah, I was gonna say for you,
preferences.
I don't know, but for me, I think if we can joke within the first encounter that we have,
Yeah.
'cause I feel like I'm like sarcastic, so I just
Yeah.
like say random things, and if like you can like throw it back at me or like you like laugh,
Yeah.
then like I was like, oh okay, like
It's like-
you get it.
Not just sense of humor, but like y'all are on the same
Yeah,
wavelength.
It doesn't
I don't know how to
necessarily
explain
have to be sense
it.
of humor, but like yeah, you're on the same as like oh okay, like you get it.
Yeah, or somebody who it's hard because you know how sometimes you meet somebody and it just seems like they're not interested in talking to you. Like
Yes.
you'll be really want to get to know them.
Yeah.
But then they'll be responding like really like one word or
Yeah.
just super simple. Then it's like okay,
Right. Then I'm
okay.
like
So
You
I
gotta
feel
stop.
like if it's pretty equal,
if it's mutual, yeah.
and I mean it helps if like you guys have like a common interest of some sort or like a similarity.
Right.
That's always gonna help.
Yeah.
But I do think like sense of humor or like some sort of just y'all catch a vibe.
Yeah. It's a vibe. Like, I don't know. Because I don't think you necessarily have to be. And I, like I said, it's personal. Like, I don't know. What is your indication?
Yeah. What about
What
you?
do you think?
From a guy's perspective?
Yeah.
What that
Or I guess you personally.
How
there's
can
a
you tell?
there are a lot. Yeah, to me, definitely a lot of those things that you said, I can reflect back and agree with. Like if they can joke, if you guys have like enough banter where it seems like there's equal amount of investment, if not more so in the conversation. And then what I usually do when I meet people is I try to quickly find common ground.
Yeah.
But I found it the people who I enjoy speaking to or I could see myself becoming friends with are people who are good listeners. You know, if you like, regardless of whether they joke a lot or they make jokes and all that stuff is great. But if they don't ask any questions about you, then it doesn't really mean anything to me. Like then
Right.
I'm just like, okay, this person's just like an ego driven,
Or it's like
self I don't know, absorbed person. Then I wouldn't even like, no matter how funny they were, like we probably wouldn't be friends because they don't seem like they care about other people.
Yeah.
yeah.
So for me, it's like,
And they might
do
not
they
even
seem-
be aware of it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's not like my place to tell them that or anything. It's
Yeah.
just like that's just a vibe that I would get from them. So I probably wouldn't want to be friends. But for me, it's just like, do they have an interest in learning about me more
Yeah.
so than just like making jokes with me? You know.
For sure. Oh, that's a good one.
But that's something that I try to do when I meet people too. Just ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. Me too. I think. But it's
Yeah.
not in a like a forced way. It's like you
Yeah.
just genuinely want to know
I guess,
something
yeah.
more about them.
I haven't like done that in a minute. Like met someone
Ask the question.
not through a mutual.
Not through a mutual.
Yeah. Like the people that I've met recently in my life have all been through mutual. So there's always that. There's
Some
always
sort
some
of-
kind of common ground. So I don't even know like what. I mean, I guess I meet people at work, but like that's different. Like I don't show
try to-
that side yet at work.
Keep
Like
it
it's
separate.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I'm very professional. So like
Do you think that's weird now that that's like not a common thing?
what?
Like if you're just out and about in public, if someone went up to speak to you, a lot of people would feel that's weird now.
Like a random person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I was at the grocery store, and I do this myself sometimes, and I see someone who has like a cool fit or is, you know, picking like a fruit or something that I would also be, I would make a comment, you know. But a lot of people will think that's weird now. Like oftentimes they're so
Yeah.
like in their own bubble that
Yeah.
like getting pestered or like I don't know. They
Yeah.
feel like it's like they're pestered. Whereas I'm like I'm just out here living. You know?
I do think that our generation is a little more weary
Yeah. We're just like
versus because I feel like the older folk, they will come up to you.
They're so
Yeah,
nice.
they'll say stuff.
It's a very East
Say
Coast thing, I
whatever.
remember, especially too. Because
Yeah.
I lived in Virginia for a while, and like people are so friendly,
That's like
especially the
South,
older
too.
people. Yeah, like if you go out, like everyone will talk to you, and
Yeah.
no matter what, if you're in line somewhere, like someone will talk to you.
Maybe it's a
Yeah.
West Coast thing.
Maybe.
Everyone here is very just
everyone
like-
keeps to themselves.
Or they overthink it. They're like, what does this person want from me?
yeah,
or like-
yeah.
Like I told like my interaction. So I had an interaction at the gym yesterday.
Yeah, but
Where
you,
I was just-
but you seemed like you were like
I was
you're
definitely
weirded
weirded
by
out
it. Yeah,
because
exactly.
I told you like this has happened before at the gym, and I could feel like I could see where the conversation was going.
Was it like
well,
the same guy?
Explain what happened.
Different guy. So do you remember like a long time ago I told you about that gym guy that asked for my number and I was like, oh, like I have an Instagram, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
he like tried to ask me out like later and he tried to like work out with me and I was just like,
Yeah.
no. So like I've already had that like that was already a premise. You know what I mean? So like now I know that that has happened. So yesterday I was just standing by the like incline bench.
Yeah.
And then I was waiting for like one of the leg machines. I forgot. I mean, any leg machine. So I was just like waiting there, and there was no one using the bench. And I wasn't like leaning on it, but I was just like right next to it. And I guess I was just like staring, like because I was just waiting. So I was like, what am I
Right.
supposed to do?
The
And
typical
then,
zone out.
yeah, literally, I was
Yeah.
zoned out. And then this guy comes up to me, and I just see him from my peripheral, and I was like, oh shit! Like I thought he wanted to use the machine or use the
Yeah.
bench. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, did you want to use this? And he was just like, no. Like you were just like standing there, like so intent. Like you look so focused. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just waiting for the machine. And he was just like, oh yeah. And he was like, oh, what's your name? And I was like, I told my name, and then I was like. And then he introduced himself, and I'm just like, "Oh, nice to meet you." And then I just like whip around, and I just start walking towards like a different machine because I was just like, like I hate to like be that person,
No.
but it's like I don't want to put myself in that situation.
in general, when that happens, because that's happened to me too.
Yeah,
It always goes south in
Yeah.
a way.
it's because it's the situation. Like you're at a gym, like.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not even like because I have been approached by guys at the gym that are like, oh, like oh, nice form, or like, oh, like
Right.
you know, do you work out a lot, whatever, and then that's it, that's the end of the conversation, and they
Right.
like move on. They're like, oh, like keep it up, like good work. But
Whenever they
then-
introduce themselves,
Yes,
they want to get
yes.
a conversation going.
exactly,
Most of the time. I'm not going to say for everybody, but
Interesting.
I
from
feel like
my
a lot of the
interactions, it has always been that every time. I'm like,
yeah,
Okay.
and I don't want to.
Is it always a man?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think I've ever been approached in the gym by a girl before.
I wish.
I know, I do wish,
Yeah.
I do wish, but
And then,
yeah,
like, one time there was a guy who, like, he asked me how many sets I had left, and then he introduced himself. And I was like, okay.
yeah,
Yeah. And then he wanted to, like, connect on Instagram. And then I just pulled I don't really use it.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
blah,
yeah,
blah. And he was like, he was really prying. He was like, you don't have Instagram? Like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, oh, or I changed my answer and I was like, oh, I just don't really give it out to strangers. And then he was like offended. He was like, dang, I thought you were like cool. I thought you
Yeah,
were
see,
cool.
like that's
I
just
was
so
like,
weird to me. Like
Right.
it's like if you're cool, then like I would just be like, oh yeah, like see you around sometime. You know what I mean? Like you know, whatever. That's
Yeah,
it. That's it. Like it's simple as that. And like the more you meet someone, then like sure, like you can establish like a friendship if that's what they're just looking for. But if obviously they're looking for something more, I feel like I'm the type of person that if I'm not even like I don't want to get myself in that kind of situation, so I'm just gonna completely avoid it. But I was nice about it. Like I was like, oh yeah, nice to meet you, and I just like walked away.
Some
Like
of
didn't
them-
want to let it continue.
Some are strategic though. Like I had a guy who we kind of had the same gym schedules. So we would see each other a lot. So one day he just introduced himself to me and he was like, okay, have a good workout. And then every single time I saw him, it was like, okay, now we know each other. So he would come up to me every time to be like, oh, what you working on today? And just kind of, you know, each step, like, get a little bit more. Oh, okay. But yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then. What would be so bad about that?
Or I guess like if you're open
to have another
to it.
acquaintance at the place that you go to a lot.
Like acquaintance, yeah.
That's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with acquaintance. I think it's when the intentions isn't that. It's like if someone comes up to me so like I said, like the guy before, he's like, oh, immediately he was like, oh, this is the guy before. He was like, oh, like you're like, I saw you working out, like you're so pretty. Like, can I have your number? And I was like, oh, I don't give my number out. Like I have an Instagram. And then that was like, I guess like that was my mistake right there because like I obviously wasn't interested. So I should have shut it down. But I have such a hard time like saying no. So I'm like, oh, I have an Instagram.
And
You're
then, like so nice.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, okay. And then, you know that person's not just trying to be friends. And I hate to say, but especially like if it's from like a guy to a girl.
It's true.
You know,
like sometimes you just have to. You can't tell all the time.
Yeah.
But like most of the time.
Most of the time. They're not just trying to be friends. Because if they are,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
They're just trying to be an acquaintance.
I am also a man.
Yeah, I know.
I understand.
Exactly. If they're just trying to be an acquaintance, then like the situation that I had said about like, oh, you could just be like cool, form, whatever, like nice to meet you, and then be on your way. And then if you see them again, like that's cool. Then that's nice. You have an acquaintance. Yeah. And like they're okay with that. But that's not usually how it goes. Like they're usually like, oh, like let's connect outside of the gym.
Think here's a question that's to further this conversation. Do you think it's the situation or is it the person?
Oh, like being in the gym?
Like if that same thing happened, but you were just like
out
at the park and you were just like sitting with your dog and that happened. Would that change it?
Or even if you were out, I feel like it's dependent on the person. Like you'll get kind of get a vibe from a person.
So it's not the gym. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be at the gym. But even just like if I was out at a park and this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, you're really pretty. Can I have your number? Like,
Versus if they were just saying like, hey, what's your name? Or I don't know. I feel
or just like
it's a nice day
striking
today.
up like a conversation. Like I feel like if you're at the park and like you're just like walking your dog, and then it's just like, oh,
I don't know, something about being a woman. Just like if you're alone in a park and then a man comes up to you, it's just like you just have to kind of tap into your.
Yeah,
it's like an automatic thing, even though they might just have good intentions. It's just
it's
you can never be sure. Yeah,
because also, because you talk about this a lot. Like you say that you don't necessarily hang out with girls one-on-one unless you unless you are interested in them, like you're wanting to pursue something romantically, like now that you're older.
For new women that I meet.
New women. So I guess it's kind of the same situation. It's like, why would because we're all kind of in the same age range now. It's like, why would an older man who I don't work with, who I don't go to school with, I don't have any connection with, why would a stranger come up to me just wanting to be friends with me?
Yeah.
And why would a woman who is either single or in a relationship, want to pursue like this friendship with a man that I don't know?
Right.
I guess.
I think it's situational too.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not gonna I don't hang out with men who I don't know, not like alone, unless I'm.
You don't hang out with women either that you don't know alone.
Yeah, I do. I would. I'm more inclined to do that because I would I'm okay with having.
I have
new female friends. Yeah, but with a man, it's like.
What if they have the same intentions though?
If a woman had those intentions about me?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I guess it's harder to tell. Like, you mean if they're gay?
Sure. Or they were interested in women.
If they were interested in me, then I would always like put that on the table, like, oh, like I'm not really interested.
Yeah.
Like,
what if you didn't know? Just like the man didn't upright and say it to you when he first met you.
Well, I've never had that happen to me.
So
but
it just seems like there's like a preconceived idea about social interactions that changes your behavior before you have the interaction.
Yes, but also, okay, I've never had like a woman like approach me like that. But I will say women, like the gay women that I know, they're very upfront about it. Like they don't beat around the bush.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not just like, oh hey, like let's hang out. You know what I mean? They'll pretty much tell you that they're interested in you like from the get-go.
Yeah.
You know?
That happened to me one time and she was really straight up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not like, oh, like
I don't know.
let's go hang out and then like try to pull a move on you. I don't think they're ever really like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like very much like, oh, I think you're cute. Like,
yeah.
I'm gay.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, oh, okay, well, like that's really flattering. Like, thank you so much, but I'm not interested. And whether they choose to just continue a friendship or not is like,
Or they'll ask
to
you
you.
like, are you interested in girls?
yeah. Whereas I feel like guys obviously like just,
Most of the time.
it's not like that. Like they're not, you can pretty much figure out their intentions like from the get-go, you know?
So, but you're saying though, like regardless of what tension is there or not, it's more person dependent than situation dependent.
And I feel like we have the same idea, but there are girls who are pretty like oblivious and like very oblivious. And so they don't know the
Yeah.
intentions.
What's wrong with that?
There's
nothing's wrong with
nothing
that.
wrong with it.
But no, I know what you mean because
Do you
I
think that
feel
those
like,
girls?
But they'll be more open to maybe like getting to know the guy more.
and then just thinking like, oh, he just wants to be friends.
Yeah.
And I won't say, like, I feel like I've done that a lot before in the past.
Yes. Like
Is that-
naivety.
Now, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is that is that a bad thing or is that a good thing? You think?
No,
I don't think it's a bad thing.
It's just different.
It's just you want to be like, you don't want to be super oblivious where you're just like, oh, I didn't know that he liked me. And like lead the guy on, right? Because then I think that can be,
Or like get yourself in a
Bad.
situation
Yeah.
where like you weren't even expecting it.
and then a guy makes a move on you and you're just like, oh my God, like I don't want that. Like,
But then
you know what I mean?
then he'd be like, well, you
yeah,
were kind of
you like
brought this situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you've gone on so many dates with me. And then she's like, I thought they were just hangouts. It's
like
like
that. Yeah.
you kind of have to just be aware. You know what I mean? So like not being oblivious to the fact that
But some
obviously
people
this
aren't.
guy.
like some
doesn't-
girls
yeah.
just aren't aware.
Yeah, this is a very interesting conversation or topic to me because I believe that if we're talking about it being person dependent instead of situation dependent, the only way that people are going to get better at making those initial interactions where you don't feel weirded out is if they practice. But if you're not letting them practice, if no one is letting people practice on how to improve their social skills, then no one's going to get better at it. You know? So at some
Like it
point,
takes experience.
the oblivious people are the ones who are helping these guys get experience talking to women, flirting with women. But if they don't have that feedback, then they're always just going to be terrible at it, you know?
But
and
in
then you're
this-
never going to get the person who's right that comes up is like, oh, he just charmed me off because everyone sucks at it.
Yes,
You
but
know?
in the same
Isn't that kind of a weird paradox?
No, but in the same sense, I feel like those people who are oblivious are enabling the people who like do that. You know what I mean? Who,
Sure.
like-
I mean, there's always going to
are
be
like
there's
that.
always a spectrum of benefit.
Right. But they don't learn. So in that sense, no one's ever really improving their skills because they're just going to continue doing what they're doing because they think that it's working. You know?
But
Like-
it doesn't work because it doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere, but they're like, oh, at least I got to talk to like this person. Or like, oh,
Yeah,
like
I
at least
think
we
that-
got this far.
And I think that's actually more valuable than not getting anywhere. Don't you agree? Would you
I
agree
think
or
there is a
disagree with
better
that?
method to go about it.
Okay. What would you say is a better method?
I don't know. I just think that
How would you
people
want
are evolving.
How would you guys want to be approached?
By who?
By someone who had intentions.
I would rather not.
I would rather not be a
Or by someone who does have intentions. I love a friendship.
Yeah.
I just love like a friendship that is like a slow burn or like just a slow build that where you're not expecting anything. But that's very rare.
Like I feel like it's also
You
very
can-
personal. Yeah.
Yes.
To you, like you.
Because I feel like, or maybe every girl's different. You know when a guy's interested in you.
Yeah.
Like you know.
Yeah.
You just get this feeling and you're always right.
Yep.
Yeah.
9
Well,
times out of 10.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like, do you not feel that way? Like, you never feel like you don't have that. You don't catch a vibe when you're like talking to a female. Like, oh, she's into me. Like, I can feel like she's into me.
No, I agree. I'm not
Okay.
disagreeing.
Yeah. I feel like when a guy's interested in a girl, the behavior is so different.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've ever.
So if some guy didn't do those behaviors, you'd be more open to it?
I think when
What are the behaviors too?
I don't know, it's hard. Like I think it's all personal. Like for me, I would rather not someone be so like pushy. Like you can kind of tell they're like, oh, like let's do this. Like, oh, like let's hang out. Like XYZ. Like, oh, you know, this and that. Like I think first of all, I like to also like, it's hard to say because if someone like, okay, if you were a stranger and you approached me in a grocery store, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would be open to like going out with someone that I met at the grocery store. So it's also very personal. Like,
But it depends on like, what if that interaction was like really good?
yeah. So I guess that's different. Like the interaction was really good. Like it was like, oh, like, like, okay. For example, I went to the grocery store the other day and I was in this aisle looking for some sauce. I forgot. And then this like guy was like, do you know where the soy sauce is? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It might be in the Asian section. He was just like, yeah, I'm sorry I asked you though. Like, I didn't mean anything. And I was like, oh yeah, no, dude, it's fine. It's fine. He's just like, yeah, I'm just like an uncultured white guy. And I was like, okay. I was like, no, like you're very
You don't
cultured.
have to roast yourself like that.
You're using soy sauce. And so like, I feel like that was like super, and he was just like, yeah, like, you know, like, have a great day. You know, like, it's like, oh yeah, well, good luck with what you're finding. I'm like, we are in a grocery store. Like, what? But like, you know, something like that, you know, and if you were to, I guess, feel something from that, maybe, but otherwise, like, I feel like it's hard to have like a super meaningful interaction, like in a place like that, right? Or like in a place like, I don't know, a park or something.
Well, no one's saying it has to like lead to something super serious.
No, I know. But like, I'm saying like, even like go further and be like, oh, actually like
Be
maybe
open to.
maybe I'm like, yeah, open to like hanging out with this person or just like getting to know this person outside of that situation. So it's I do think it is situational too. Because, okay, you have said that you've met people just like randomly. Like
Sure.
you met a girl at a museum, right? But I think that's a good situation because you're
cool.
in this place that you're going to be in for a prolonged amount of time, meaning more than like 20 minutes probably. And you're doing the same kind of activity together. And you're not in like any like, oh, like I'm only going to be here for 5 minutes and then I'm going to leave, you know? So it's not like a grocery store situation or it's not like a park situation where you're like, oh, I'm just walking my dog and then like I got to go somewhere after this.
And you're in a place where likely you guys are both interested in
Exactly.
that same
Like
thing,
there's a
so-
shared interest, you know?
Yeah.
So
I definitely agree that some situations are better.
it is, yeah.
But I also feel like if the right person was there, it doesn't matter what the situation is.
I would say, I don't know. I think it is.
But it's like, how do you know
It's like-
if it's the right person?
That's what I mean. Like heavy on the situation because it's like I said, if you're at the grocery store, it's like even if the right person was, maybe I might have met my soulmate like years ago in a Fry's. You know, like I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
but,
It's
like,
time and place.
yeah, like it's like situation is probably we wouldn't talk because there would be no reason for us to talk. Like that might be a little weird, unless I'd be like, like where's the cheese? You know, like like what? Like what are we gonna talk about? Or like you're just like you're on a mission, right? Like at the gym too. I think the gym is that situation where it could be either.
Yeah.
Like at the gym, most of the time it's like I'm trying to work out and I'm trying to leave. Like I'm not trying to hang out there. But some people do. Like
some people do.
that is
though.
their place and like that's where they meet people. And like I totally see that. And like I'm like, damn, I wish I could be that person, but like first of all, I don't want to hang out at my gym because that's musty. But like I'm just trying to work out. Like I don't want to like talk and then like be thrown off and this and that.
Yeah.
But there are definitely people who meet at the gym and I think that's great. And it's also like different kinds of gym. Like if you're at an independent gym where it's smaller and like everyone knows each other,
Yeah, that's different.
you could
Yeah.
totally do that.
I used to meet all people at the rock climbing gym all the time.
Exactly. Rock climbing gym. Like
Yeah.
you're there because you obviously are going to be there to do something and like rock climb. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there for a prolonged amount of time. And obviously you could like talk about it, be like, oh, like, how'd you do on this one? Or I don't know, whatever you do.
I do feel like rock climbing though is a different atmosphere than a gym.
That's also true. Yeah.
Sure.
It's definitely more.
It's
More
more
social.
social. It's more
Social,
social,
yeah.
which is a big selling point of it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But I will say, because I just recently moved gyms, so I'm kind of fairly new to my new gym. So I don't know anyone there. But the one before, I was there for almost a year. And so I got to make like girlfriends and then like people from like home were there too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it was
What
actually
gym
like
did you move to now?
The one on Almost Golden 60.
Oh, still EOS though.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So it's just a different location. But because I was there for a prolonged period of time, like there were faces that were familiar. So it was kind of nice, like going to the gym and you see somebody.
Yeah.
someone you know.
exactly.
Especially like
Yeah.
acquaintances.
Yeah.
You know? Whether or not you know them well. It's just like familiarity
Yeah.
breeds comfort.
Yeah.
Makes
No,
you
I
comfortable.
agree.
Yeah.
I just think like
Yeah.
Nice.
meeting people could be tricky.
If you guys could have, now that you're both quarter life crisis era-ing, if you could give one piece of advice to young people in their early 20s, based on what you know now, what would you say?
That's such a
One advice is hard.
like yeah, one is hard.
Just pick your favorite one.
I feel like do as much as you can and like learn as much as you can.
That's
like
a good one.
going out there, like you talk about learning skills all the time. Like I think that's important, but also just like learning new things that you want to do, you know, like it could be like learning how to use an app or like going somewhere new, traveling, or if you don't like to travel, like go try something that you've always wanted to try. Or
Like
even if
just
you don't wanna try
indulge in
anything.
like new experiences.
Yeah, new experiences.
Yeah. Because this is the age to do it.
I guess you can do it at any age. But
True.
like this is the age where not necessarily that you don't have any consequences, but you feel more likely. Like I think that you can grow a lot in this period of life where you're just like trying new things and like figuring it out. Because I think we're
Yeah.
all in this age. I feel like no matter who you are, you're figuring it out in this.
What is something
your
that you
early
think
20s.
that everybody should do in their early 20s?
I personally think people should travel.
Okay, I was gonna say the same thing.
Bitch.
Okay, why is that?
I just think there's nothing more valuable than going somewhere new, a completely different culture, city, environment, and just learning. Like you just get so much more life perspective.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think gaining a new perspective.
Just
Because,
being open-minded
Yeah.
and realizing like this world is so big and not everyone is like you, and that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if you're like in the same state, like just even if you don't like to travel out of state, just go to a different part of the state, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that for the perspective part, but then also barely.
What?
You know what I mean? Like barely helps. Like there have been times in the past year, and a couple of my friends have talked about. I like traveling. I'm not gonna. I do like traveling, and I want to hit all the continents, but before I'm 30. I don't think I'm gonna make it there though. I haven't been to Africa yet. But there's this thing that we say because we're both entrepreneurs. We both started our own business, and we have this saying. It's like, geez, man, that trip to Europe didn't really help my business like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
You know?
but I think motivation is also
like,
different.
damn.
Like
Like-
you, like if someone is just more intent on just trying to live life rather than like make money, that's different. You know, because I think, yeah, like obviously like financial wise, like you know, there are different things that I wish I did differently, right? Like maybe I wish I started a business like when I was younger, or like you know maybe I should have invested more, or like saved more, whatever the case is. But then there's the other perspective of actually I just want to live life now, you know, like I can worry about making money, like real money, and like investing, saving like later. You know?
I would add, like, let's say in your perspective, you don't see traveling as like super like, beneficial. I think, or this is just me personally, I think relationships are everything. And so in your 20s, just be true to yourself and surround yourself with people who like you want to genuinely have that connection with, and don't care so much about, you know, people who don't care about you.
Yeah.
Or just cultivating
Yeah.
solid relationships.
That's so
For
important.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that is so valuable. And I don't know, I think people tend to get distracted by, you know, like success and stuff like that. But and then they'll like neglect or they'll even get into a relationship and start neglecting their friendships. But like, it's gonna suck when you like don't have like people who you can turn to.
It's a balance, you know. It's definitely a balancing act, and I think if we're talking about the whole biological side of psychology, where women usually tend to value relationships a lot more than men do. I think a lot of men in their 20s and 30s, they actually start to get a lot more solitary. And they start to spend a lot more time by themselves and like grinding on something.
Yeah.
Where typically it seems like, I think it's just maybe just like the nature of how women are, but they like to connect a lot more. And relationships are usually a lot more important, which is why that's the whole like loneliness epidemic for men. You know, it's a whole big movement right now on the internet. And I do agree that relationships are very important. It's just funny that usually like there's an opposite flip for men
Yeah.
as they get older. They just want to be alone more.
Damn. Okay,
That's why they're more depressed.
gotta rethink.
Possibly.
Some things.
But then there's also like that, like, when do you focus on relationships versus your career, your business, you know?
I don't
like
There's a very popular saying you've probably heard, like, it's always lonely at the top, you know? Where if you want to be the best at something, if you want to make an impact or do something big, you kind of have to drown out everything, including relationships.
I think it all boils down to like, what do you really, really want?
Because I think some people are okay with that.
Some
are
people don't.
I don't care. I want to be alone.
Sure.
And they're happy with that. But then some people, like, they think they want to make a lot of money and they think they want all this success. And then once they get it, they're like,
There's no
Where's
one
my
around
wife?
me. Like, there's no support.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Right.
who loved me? Like, nobody loved me.
And that's kind of what I was saying. It's like when you get into your early 20s and like the midlife crisis area, like all you've been thinking about before was like, I need to go to school, I need to land a career, I need to make money. And then once you have those things, or if like you're on track to it, then you start to realize, wait a minute, this doesn't matter to me. You know, you start to have those, you have to start to figure out like, what is actually the meaning of what I want in my life? Like, what do I want it to look like?
God, what
It's
is the
really
meaning
not
of
about,
life?
it's not about like, I want to wake up and make all this money. It's like, I want to wake up and do what I want to do. You know, there's a very different spin on things. And I think that naturally people in this age range just have to figure it out. In the process of figuring it out, though, is very, very miserable sometimes, you know? You go through a lot of pain.
Easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We're all struggling. It's a universal struggle.
That's the 20s for you.
If you could go back to age 21,
Oh, God.
but and redo it again, would you rather do that? Or would you not do that and still keep all the lessons and all the shit that you went through today?
Wait, if I went back.
You could start over, but you wouldn't know anything that you knew now.
Ooh. I think I would start over.
Really?
Me personally, I think I would.
Wow.
Because I don't know.
You've been traumatized.
I think that I would. I think me
And
as
me
a person,
too.
I'd probably do something differently. Just knowing me, like even if I don't know what I know now, I think I would probably do it different.
Sure.
I don't know, because if you just go back and you don't know anything new, knowing my dumbass, I would have done the same thing.
But
Probably.
And
I guess like we have very different paths. So I feel like
Yeah.
either way, I think I would have gone a different path than I would have now. Because I think my mind changes so often.
yeah,
That I'm
that's
just like,
true.
you know? Or
Yeah.
like,
I feel like I would have done the same thing. So I feel like I would not go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, yes, the shit I went through was really terrible. But like, I am who I am
right.
because of
all
that.
the lessons
Like,
that you learned.
I
are
know so
important to
much.
you.
Yeah. And like,
You can't teach wisdom.
yeah.
yeah.
You just got to experience it.
So I
I
guess
just
it's
wanna-
worth it. I guess.
I just want to make the same mistakes. I don't want to go through it again. I love being 21.
Bro.
I think I had the most fun. Well, actually, no. I feel like I've had the most fun in the like past couple of years. But I feel like it was such a fun time, like growing up, like growing through that time, you know. So I would do it again.
Sure.
I made the most mistakes at 21. So I feel like,
You're like,
I don't
"Oh,
know. It's weird. Like, I think back at college and how everyone's like, oh, it's going to be the best years of your life, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, it was fun. It was really fun at the time. But, like, oh my God, your life after college, I think is
So different.
Yeah.
so much better.
I don't think
So
I would
much more
want to
rewarding.
go to college,
Yeah.
but I graduated 21, so it would be.
Yeah. It's an interesting question I would like to think about. It's like,
What would you do?
I would not go back.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't.
I'm so much more happy
Yeah.
and going through all that crap that I went through and all that like turmoil and decision making just to get back to where I am. It's just like, man.
True.
Because you can't really, it's a rigged question though, because you can't like erase experience. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming, hanging out.
This was fun.
Hanging
I
out in
feel
the
like
studio.
we talked about so much.
I don't really know what
It's
we got.
always so.
I don't know what we
like,
talked about really.
Like just all over the place.
We got hella
You just
shorts in here.
ramble.
I hope it was fun for people.
You can't put the full thing.
Really quick, is there any way that anyone can find you?
Yeah, probably just Instagram.
I thought you don't
When you
use
find our
Instagram.
Instagram, you'll find everything else.
Or email. But like why?
Girl, no.
Why would they email me?
Yeah, if you want email. Sure.
Oh my god.
I feel like it's Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been fun. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys.
Oh, thanks
Yes.
for having us.
Thanks
This
for
was so
having us
fun.
Again.
Time to go eat.
Yeah, let's go get some lunch.
Memories are fresh on my